Let's just review that there are really just three very simple rules, and those are social distancing, mask wearing, and hand washing. Why would these things work? They seem much too simple, but in fact, although this virus is very complex and there are many, many things about it that we don't understand, it's because of the way that the virus transmits itself between people. And it's looking more and more clear all the time that really it is mostly droplet transmission. Droplets are the little bits that come out of our mouths even when we speak, but especially when we cough or when we laugh or when we shout, droplets come out, thousands and thousands of them. And if we have a virus, viral particles that can be infectious are contained in those droplets. By and large, the sicker a person is and the more symptomatic, the more virus is in each droplet. Those rules don't always apply, but that's the general rule. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because a virus wants to replicate itself. It wants to keep going. That's its main goal, right? So, of course, it's going to pack more of itself in droplets of sick people that are coughing and expelling those droplets everywhere. So it really kind of makes sense. What we forget is that we can spread those droplets even without coughing. We can do that by laughing or shouting or singing. We can even do it with just regular speech. Now, that's where the mask wearing and the social distancing comes in. So what does it mean to practice social distancing? That, of course, as we've all heard over and over lately, means to stay 6 feet away or approximately 2 arms lengths from other people who aren't people that you're living with all the time. So why does that matter? Because those droplets that we talked about are less likely to get near another person and come to you from another person if you're at least 6 feet away or so. We can even further decrease the risk of transmitting the virus to other people or getting it from somebody else by wearing masks. Now, it's true that there's a lot of confusion about mask wearing, and there are many different types of masks and all of these things. But let's just talk about the cotton masks that we're all being urged to wear in public lately. Those cute ones that you can make out of any color, any fabric. Some of my patients have the cutest masks. I just want them. So why do those work? Well, because even though they're cotton and even though they're a little bit porous, air goes back and forth through them, they're not as tight as a surgical mask, they still block most particles from coming out of your mouth. And in fact, contrary to what lots of people think, they even block some of the droplets coming towards you. So really, they work two ways. I've heard a lot of people say that they think the only reason to wear a mask is to protect other people and that everyone should wear a mask, therefore, to protect people around them. I've heard other people say the only reason to wear a mask is to protect your own self. But the truth is that both of those things occur. So when we wear masks, especially when we practice social distancing, we reduce the risk of transmission by a lot. Now, what about hand washing? Well, this is always important, and it's particularly important in a pandemic. But fortunately, it looks like the virus is less transferable from surfaces than from droplets in the air. The thing is that sometimes those droplets can fall on surfaces, and if we happen to touch those surfaces while the virus is still alive in the droplets and scratch our eye or suck our finger or something like that, we still can get the virus inside of ourselves. Remember, all that virus wants to do is make more of itself. And in order to do that, it has to get into cells and take over their machinery so that it can make so many more copies of itself in the cells. That's why people get sick. because they have this virus in their cells, and then their own cells, other cells, respond to something sick going on with the cells that are infected, and that's the inflammatory response or the immune response you've heard of. But the point is that viruses want to do one thing in the world, and one only. They just want to replicate themselves. So they will do whatever they can to try to get into people, because people's cells are a very, very good host for this virus to make more and more of itself. So we just have to think about what is logical and sensible. How do we not get droplets from each other? We practice social distancing, we wear masks, and we wash our hands. It really is that simple. What isn't simple is building a culture around that, because we're not used to it. And it feels weird and strange, and we feel like we can't see our expressions anymore, so we can't tell if somebody's smiling at us. And sometimes it makes us feel self-conscious, and other times it makes us feel kind of trapped. But the bottom line is that whatever you think about wearing a mask and practicing social distancing and practicing good hygiene, no matter whether you think that is against your freedom or for your freedom or for somebody else's freedom, the truth is that when we do those things effectively, we will no longer be providing that virus with a place to land and replicate and try to go other places. And viruses, they don't care what we look like. They don't care what language we speak. They don't care about our religious beliefs. They care about one thing, which is getting inside of us and making more of themselves. And if they destroy us in the process, that's no big deal to them. So these three simple things of practicing social distancing, wearing our masks, and washing our hands, but especially the first two, really will serve to stop that virus in its tracks. And if we can do that just for a little while longer, maybe a year longer or 2 years longer, which I know seems like an amazing length of time, but really in terms of vaccine development, that's lightning speed. If we can do that for just a little bit longer and slow it down until we have a vaccine, we will eradicate this thing. And then hopefully we can go back to normal, where we can see each other smile in public again, where we don't have to wear masks. Although by that time, we might even feel naked without the masks. Who knows how this will change our culture? And masks might be a huge fashion statement. That's already happening. So maybe when we don't have to wear masks, we'll still wear them. I have no idea what the world will look like then. But I do know this. I know that this pandemic is creating havoc and that we're all feeling scared and uncertain. But I also know that there are ways to protect ourselves and our families without having to just stay inside all the time, because we all have learned the hard way that that is not possible. We can't stay healthy that way.